I got something to tell the people. So I'm trying to make a real point to make less like diplomatic YouTube answers where it's like, I'm actually trying to watch a little bit less lifting YouTube for a while. I think a lot of guys, they don't have info at first. They're interested in lifting. They're really passionate about it. They're looking forward to going after work or going after school. So they start watching all this info and it starts kind of bogging you down of there's so much conflicting information. You're always just kind of in that theory crafting idea. And I think at some point it's really, really useful to take breaks from consuming info and kind of work on your own theories. Don't have it muddied by other people's thoughts. Collect a bunch of info, have a general idea going in, and then just go do your own thing for a while and say, well, this seems to be working for my biceps, right? Then return to watching info. Listen to the people you respect. Don't listen to idiots, but listen to people you respect. Kind of compare notes and maybe contextualize why the things you saw are working right now, and then go off on your own for a while. And that's some kind of something I'm at right now is a little bit of a work on my own ideas for a little while, because I think you get these shitty ass junk answers that kind of creep their way into every lifting content creator's videos, where you have to be like really particular with your language so it fits into the greater kind of universe of lifting info. I'd rather give you guys, hey, I'm doing my own thing right now. This is how I think about it. It's on you to contextualize this versus what other people are saying, rather than always trying to fit it into the bigger picture. When I was getting into lifting, I found really quickly, I was working on my squat and I couldn't hit the positions I wanted to. And I found that when I included just a little bit of basic static stretching, that I was able to train my legs more effectively and they grew a bunch. And so ever since then, like a basic stretching routine has been a part, I just considered a part of the training day for my lower days. Now I'm getting a little bit bigger. I'm starting to get to the point where I am sometimes restricted from entering the most effective training position, whether that's like the most effective position for lifting a bunch of weight or the most effective position for like hypertrophy in my upper. So I'm trying to make a habit of thinking of same thing as the lower, just a basic stretching routine. Doesn't take me super long. I'm not wasting a ton of time in the gym, but before my upper days, that becomes the part of the routine, because I've just run through really basic stretches. It's not some fancy mumbo jumbo yoga. It's not some fancy activation stuff. It's really basic lower body stretches. And I believe that has contributed tremendously to my continued success in my lower training. I said in large lads, which will go up at some point, when I stretch my legs and I stretch out my hips, squats feel like a leg exercise. When I just go straight into squats, they feel like a back exercise. They feel like an erector exercise. Just doing that beforehand shifts what I feel like is the rate limiter. It shifts what I feel like is doing the work. I'm kind of getting there with the upper where, all right, shit, I just need to come up with a very basic, nothing super, super fancy, nothing super high-minded, internal, external rotation, basic fucking stretching. Hydrate, stretch, all these things are good. I've come full circle.
Schmerzen kennt, vom Feuer, das die Haut verbrennt. Ich werf ein Licht in mein Gesicht, ein heißer Schrei, Feuer frei. Schmerzen kennt, vom Feuer, das in Lust
you guys have heard me talking about a lot about like street lifting form on the dips and how that's not necessarily what I'm going for. And I almost think some guys like that talking point has gotten more popular where people started looking. It used to be people said, look at this, everybody's cheating the bench press with their fucking arches, but the dip is a pure strength. You can't cheat it. And then people started watching the actual plates on really high level street lifters. And one of the things they'll do is their head will start upright. They'll really drop the head, tilt their torso as much as they can on the negative, and then go straight to upright on the way up, which limits how much the plates actually move compared to how much your shoulders actually move. And you watch guys who are really good at it, the range of motion on the way up is like half of that on the way down. They're cutting range really well. And that's not really a knock on them. Anytime you make something a competition, good technique is good technique. There's that old phrase, like the second something becomes a metric, it almost loses it. Like once you start chasing a metric, it loses its value because you're going to find ways to maximize the metric and you become specialized in it. It's not a knock at all. I think street lifting is quite cool. So that's not what I'm saying. But it's just something to be aware of. So like one thing I do is I try to leave my head down because I like a little bit more of a pec dominant dip where I am more forward leaned rather than more upright tricep dominant dip. So I try to stay forward leaned. I try to stay in the pecs a little bit more. One of the things you'll see the street lifting guys is they start up, they really duck their head, and then they come back, and they're putting a little bit more stretch in their front delt. They're not keeping that chest between the things and getting a bit more of a stretch on the pec fibers, which is why you'll see some guys with monster dips, and their pecs aren't that big. It depends on how you do them. And so I'm really trying to make a conscious effort to go somewhere in between. You're always going to get that little bit more inclined, a little bit more upright, but you can stop yourself from leaning into it. And we all just lift to whatever our goals kind of necessitate, right? My idea is not to completely tech max, because I think if I was full tech maxing, my goal would have to be more than body weight plus 315. But I think if I'm getting a good stretch on the pecs, who knows? Maybe this will be a good goal. I need to feel it out after I train it for a little while longer. My chest is coming back.
Bang, bang. Gefährlich das gebrannte Kind mit Feuer, das vom Leben trennt. Ein heißer Schrei. Bang, bang. Feuer frei.
Ist nicht mein Glück, ist mein Unglück. Dein Glück ist nicht mein Glück, ist mein Unglück.
I still hear your voice when you sleep next to me. I still feel your touch in my dream. Forgive me my weakness, but I don't know why. Without you, it's hard to survive. 'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling, and every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you feel my heart beat fast? I want this to last. Need you by my side. 'Cause every time we touch, I feel the static, and every time we kiss, I reach for the sky. Can't you hear my heart beat so? I can't let you go. Want you in my life.
All right, we'll see if the great editor Klong keeps this in there. But like the relationship with the logbook is really interesting. Where when you're a beginner, the logbook is super, super important because you kind of need to learn just how far you can push yourself. while holding the discipline to maintain your technique. But then when you become a more advanced lifter, I think it just needs to be one of many things. That's like an ebb and a flow and a push and a pull because we're a biological system, wherever the fuck, right? We push and pull our food. We push and pull things, give ourselves a little rest, push. I think we need to chase numbers in the logbook, strip back and regain our quality. You hear a lot of advanced guys and they're like, honestly, I don't even really look at the logbook because I know what a good set is now. I've been doing this for so long. I don't need a book to keep me accountable for going to failure. And usually just getting that number in my head makes me fudge my technique. And I think that's true. There's exercises where I'm like, the logbook is just there to remind me what the most productive weight, not the most productive, but a really useful weight is. Where I'm like, this is light enough that I can keep my form really good and heavy enough that I don't have to count to 1,000,000. And eventually I get to 1,000,000 and I pick a heavier weight. So the logbook's just there to remind me kind of what the weight is for good sets, but ball's in my court for doing good sets. But some exercises, I like chasing the logbook. I feel like it makes me stronger. I think if I was a pure hypertrophy guy, I would have to cut back on the logbook chasing a little bit. But as long as I have my kind of revamps to regain rep quality, I like chasing the logbook. I want 7 here. I've been thinking about this. This has been making my shoulders real healthy. Powell raises, great rear delt exercise. It was kind of used more in a physical therapy context, but I think it's a great hypertrophy exercise. Milo Wolf's been shilling for them because lengthened partials, whatever the hell. I just think they're good. It's a little easier to do on a cable, but I really give most of my strongman guys, most of my overhead athletes, Powell raises to keep that rear, like that posterior cuff mobile and developed. Good for overhead stability, good for shoulder health. Been keeping my shoulders real healthy, especially because I sleep on my side. I find when I'm doing these, my shoulder hurts less at night, which is a very good reason for me to progress them. 7 for the rep, PB. I try to look this way because that gives me a little bit more of a stretch. If I look here, I think everybody subconsciously torques into it a little bit. We just stay looking across.
Your arms are my castle, your heart is my sky. They wipe away tears that I cry. The good and the bad times, we've been through them all. You make me rise when I fall. 'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling. And every time we kiss, I swear I could fly. Can't you feel my heart?
All right, so I had to rush through my face pulls and my lateral raises. I'll show you guys those next week or something. They're not super exciting, but I'll show them the usual rest pause on the face pulls because we got summoned for a last-minute family dinner with Kirsten's family. And fellas, I have a question. Weigh in on this. Explain this to me. What is the psychology behind insisting that someone else eats seconds and that someone else gets like a second dessert? I get maybe if you said yes to second desserts and then someone else says no, it makes you like feel bad that you're eating more, so you want them to join you. But if you said no, what my friend in high school, his mom was from Mexico and would always force me to. I know that's like a Mexican mom thing, but like everybody does it. What, like everybody's got a relative that does it. I don't understand what the psychology behind like insisting that someone else eat more dessert. Like, is it like living vicariously through them? I have no idea. I love Christian's family to death, but they like bully me into like, you're a big guy, you need to eat more. I'm like, I'm full. It was a good dinner. Like, you need to eat third dessert. I'm like, Jesus. And they're like crashed out. They're like, you need to eat. What are you doing? Explain this shit to me, man.